Hi guys, hello everybody. Guys, if you're watching me, please type hello in the comment section. Say hi in the comment section. It lets me know that you can hear me and you can see me. Type hello in the comment section. Say hi in the comment section. Also, if you have this link, please feel free to invite people. Guys, if you have this link, feel free to invite people. If you know of anyone who will be sitting the GPHC exam, invite them to join us so that we can cover dilutions and rounding. This is very important for the exam. This is very important for the exam. So if anyone is watching and you've got the link, please share this link to any WhatsApp group you're in. Share the link to Telegram, share it to Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to invite more people to join this session. This is a very important session for the exam. The importance cannot be overemphasized. Send the link to as many people as possible to enable them join us. Okay, so if you're watching, guys, if you can hear me, say hello in the comment section so I can know that you can hear me and see me. If you're watching right now, type hello. Give me a hello in the comment section. Just type hello in the comment section to let us know that you can hear me and see me. Type hello in the comment section, guys, if you can hear me and see me. Okay, right. So let's quickly go over what we'll be doing today. Today we have rounding exercises and we also have dilutions. The type of dilutions I'll be looking at today is what we call serial dilutions or multiple dilutions, the one that would involve a few steps. That's what I'm going to be looking at later today. But first, we're going to cover rounding. And like I said, this is a very important part of the exam. Put it this way, almost every single question, almost all the questions you will see in the GPHC exam nowadays will ask you to do some sort of rounding. And I know a lot of people who have failed the exam by 1 mark or 2 marks. And in my opinion, a lot of those people may have lost those marks because of rounding, because they've forgotten to do their rounding or they haven't done their rounding properly. And I'm hoping that this session is going to help anybody who is looking to sit the upcoming exams either in June or November to brush up their rounding skills. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is different examples or different types of rounding. So we have 1 DP, we have 2 DP, 3 DP, nearest 5, nearest 0.5, nearest 0.05, nearest 0.1, round to the nearest whole number or whole week or nearest whole number of days. Things like this. They are going to be in almost every single question in the exam. If the question doesn't ask you to do any rounding, then you should leave your answer as a whole number. Yes, which is highly unlikely you see questions like that. Most of them, the GPHCs, even though they know the answer is going to be a whole number, they'll write it for you to leave your answer as a whole number. However, if the question doesn't specify any form of rounding, it doesn't say 1 DP or 2 DP or whatever, then make sure you leave your final answer as a whole number. We're going to look at how to round properly. Even on the program, the calculations intensive program that we started end of January, we can see that some people are still struggling with rounding. Some people understand how to do it now, but some people are still struggling. So the important thing is for you to keep working on your rounding so you can perfect your skills by the 27th of June. If you're someone who's still struggling with rounding, I need you to keep working. I've also sent out a free rounding document initially to help people who sat the exam in 2022. But obviously that was in a PDF version. Today, I'm doing a live video session to help anyone who's struggling with rounding. So we'll look at how to round properly, and we'll also look at when to round. Can anyone give me an example of when we need to round during the actual calculation? Can anyone give me an example? Because sometimes you do your rounding during the calculation itself, or sometimes you do your rounding at the end when you found an answer, you can then do your rounding to the nearest 1 dp or 2 dp. So give me an example of when I need to round during the actual calculations. Someone give me an example. Give me an example. Type in the comment section. If you're watching us for the first time, I'm usually hands-on, so I want you to obviously get your notes or build paper for your exercise, get your calculator, GPHC approved calculator, get your pen. You'll be getting involved. Okay, so this is not a lecture where you sit back and watch. You have to get involved. You have to ask questions. You have to answer questions. You have to try to calculate. So get your calculators, get your pen. Okay, so someone says, Samiat Toby, welcome to the show, Samiat. Samiat says, when the question asks amount to supply. Good. So I think what Samiat is trying to say is when we have dose and dosage regimen questions, dose and dosage regimen question. We'll see one later today. Dose and dosage regimen questions. But I'll briefly explain what this is. If a patient needs to use Clexane injections, for example, let's just assume patient needs to use Clexane injections and they need to use 1.5 injections every day. 1.5, yes. So one whole pre-filled injection and half from another pre-filled injection. And the question says, how many would you supply for 5 days? If the question asks how many you're going to supply for 5 days, what you don't want to do is say 1.5 times 5. You shouldn't do that. Why? Because when the patient takes the dose, they use 1.5. So they're not going to use the other part of the half that's remaining on the next day, given that it's pre-filled Clexane injections. So they will need to use 2 in a day. So 1.5, which means 2 technically. So use 1.5, whatever's left in the other half, chuck that. And then next day, 1.5, which is 2, 5 times in a week. And that'll be 10 injections in total. Does that make sense? So you're not going to do 1.5 times 5. You do 2 times 5 because every day they're going to be using 2 pre-filled injections. Does that make sense? Another good example is if you calculate the amount of drug that a patient needs. Let's look at metformin. All right, let's look at metformin. We know what is the maximum licensed dose of metformin. What is the maximum someone tell me in the comment section, what is the maximum licensed dose of metformin to treat diabetes mellitus? What is the maximum licensed dose to treat type 2 diabetes? Maximum licensed. The maximum licensed is 2 grams. Fantastic. 2 grams. This is licensed, by the way. And so you will see a lot of cases in real life where patients are going to be taking more than 2 grams, but that will be on license. So maximum licensed is 2 grams. That is 2 grams. So imagine you have a situation where you calculate the amount of metformin a patient needs, and you end up with something like 2.12 grams a day of metformin. And we know that metformin is available as 500 milligram tablets. All right, so what I want you to do is tell me how many tablets of metformin, 500 milligrams, you would give to this patient for 1 week, 7 days supply. For 7 days supply, how many tablets of metformin, 500 milligram, are you going to give to this patient for 1 week? Metformin comes as 500 milligram tablets. Let's use the MR version. So I'm supplying the MR metformin to this patient. We've calculated how much they need, and it came to 1.12 grams. And I want you to supply enough 500 milligram MR tablets for 7 days. How many are you going to supply? How many are you going to supply? Tell me in the comment section. How many are you going to supply? How many are you going to supply? For 7 days. Yes, 7 days supply. 7 days supply. Let me know in the comment section. Okay, good. So the correct answer to this question is 28 tablets. The correct answer is 28 tablets. A patient needs 2.12 grams of metformin, but you only have 500 milligrams modified release metformin tablets. We can't split these tablets. We're not able to split these tablets. Okay, so you have to give the number of 500 milligrams that will give you the closest to that number. The number is 2.12 grams, but the number of 500 milligrams we can put together really is 4 tablets, especially where it's modified release as well. 4 tablets will give us 2 grams. And so we'll have 2 grams times 500, that's 500, 4 tablets of 500 milligrams times 7. 4 times 7 is 28 tablets. Does that make sense? So you have to do the rounding during the calculation in this case. You don't wait till the end, do your 2.12 times 7, and then try to divide it by 500. That's the wrong way to do it. That is the wrong way to do it because you're giving a patient a dose. You have to give the patient the dose that is closest to that number, right? You can't split metformin modified release preparation. So you have to give 2 grams instead of 2.12 grams. Does that make sense? So you see a lot of questions where you have to do the rounding during the actual calculation itself. And there's also loads of cases where you see that you need to do the rounding at the end. So the point is, how and when are you going to do this? That is what I'm trying to cover today. So the correct answer to that question is 28. Yes, 28 tablets is the correct answer because we have to do our rounding before multiplying it by 7. So 4 times 7 is 28. Okay, so for the next few slides, we're going to cover rounding this way. And what we'll do is I'm going to talk you through it, and then I'll give you a chance to write what you think the answers are for the ones that don't have an answer. The first one has already been done for you. The first one says 94 mil to the nearest 5 mil is 95. 94 mil to the nearest 5 mil is 95. Right, why is it 95? Why is it 95? So what you need to be looking at is the halfway point. The halfway point between the number you have and where you're trying to get to. I'm trying to get to the nearest 5 mil. And the nearest 5 mil to, or the closest one to 94 is 95 mil. Does that make sense? Now, in some cases, you'd have a decimal like you do for B, C, and D, which I'm going to get you to do in a second. But what you're trying to look at is the number you have with the decimal put into consideration. Is that halfway between where you are, or sorry, your target, and where your actual number is? Let's look at 95, for instance. So we have 95 as the answer to the first one. But before 95, in terms of 5 main multiples, we have 90, then we have 95, then we have 100 mil. I think it'll be a lot clearer this way. So we have 90, 95, and 100 for the first question. We have 90, 95, 100. So these are multiples of 5. Yes, 90, 95, 100, 105, 110, 115, 120. Multiples of 5. And your answer is 94. So between 90 and 95 is where your number is. Between 90 and 95 is where your number is. And the way you should do this question, the simplest way is say, where is the halfway point between 90 and 95? Can anyone tell me in the comment section? Where is the halfway point between 90 and 95? So 90 and 95 are the two multiples of 5 on both sides of your number. 90 and 95 are the two multiples of 5s on both sides of your number. So what you need to do is say, between 90 and 95, what is the halfway point? And if your number is on the halfway point or more than the halfway point, you round up. If your number is on the halfway point or more than the halfway point, you go up. But if your number is less than the halfway point, you go down. Does that make sense? That's why it's called round up or round down. But it depends on where your number is. If your number is on the halfway point or more, we go up. If your number is less than the halfway point, we go down. So let's look. The halfway point between 90 and 95 is 92.5. Fantastic. 92.5 is the halfway point. So if I drop a knife between 90 and 95, it's going to fall on 92.5. 92.5 is the halfway point. Very good. My number is 94. You see, so my number is above the halfway point. So I'm going to go to the nearest one upwards, which is 95. If my number was, I don't know, say 91, for example, or even 92, I'm going to go down to 90 mil. Am I making sense here? Yeah. So to recap, before I let you try B, C, and D, to recap, what you need to do is find out the two multiples on either side of your number. In my example, 94, one side I have 90 mil, one side I have 95 mil. Then ask yourself, what is the halfway point? If I dropped a knife between 90 and 95, where is that knife going to cut? Yeah. The halfway point between 90 and 95 is 92.5. That knife is going to drop on 92.5 because that's the halfway point. Is your number under 92.5 or above 92.5? So if it's on 92.5 or more, you go up. If it's less than 92.5, you go down. Okay, let's try B, C, and D. So what I want you to do is quickly on your bit of paper. Shouldn't take you that long. This is not where you spend 3 minutes. It should literally take you a few seconds. Write B, C, D, and then write the answer for B, write the answer for C, and write the answer for D, and write it in the comment section for 3 of them. So B, C, D in one line. B, put your answer. C, put your answer. D, put your answer in one line. B, C, and D. Everyone needs to get involved. Guys, if you're watching me, please don't stand there or sit there and just watch everyone else do the work. I want you to get involved. This is a workshop. It's a workshop. It's not a lecture. You need to get involved. The best way to do calculations is using a workshop style where you actually get involved and do the practice. You may make some mistakes, but don't worry because I'm here to correct you. I'm here to put you in the right direction. So please get involved. If you're someone who's watching tonight and you're struggling with rounding or dilutions, which we're going to look at momentarily, write your answers in the comment section. If you make a mistake, I'll correct you. You will learn from it and you become a better trainee. All right, let's see the answers. Please write your, so far I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. What's everyone else doing then? If you're watching, please get involved. Write your answers. B, C, D. Yeah, so B, C, D. Do something like this. I have an answer from Nicole. Nicole, yeah. Hello, Nicole. The answers are written in a straight line for Nicole, and this is exactly what I want you to do. Write it exactly the way Nicole has done it. So B, write your answer. C, write your answer. D, write your answer. Your numbers may be different to hers, but that's how I want you to do it. B, C, D. Write your answers like that. And it shouldn't take you that long either because all you're doing is just rounding. You're not doing a whole calculation question. B, C, D. Okay, put your answers in the comment section so we can move quickly and look at the rest, right? So B says 61.5 mil to the nearest 5 mil, 68.55 to the nearest 5 mil, 617.51 to the nearest 5 mil. So all of them are to the nearest 5. We'll mix it up later on, but all these ones are to the nearest 5 mil. Okay, so let's look at the answers. The correct answers are 60, 85, and 620. 60, 85, and 620. 60, 85, and 620. Those are the correct answers. 60, 85, and 620. Hello, Shivani. Shivani got all of them right. I'm quite happy with this. 60 mil for B, 85 for C, and 620 mil for the last one. Yes. So again, simple way, look for the halfway point. You have 61.5 mil and I want you to round to the nearest 5 mil. What are the two multiples? Can anyone tell me what are the two multiples on either side of 61.5? On this side, we have 60 mil, and on this side, we have 65 mil. Yes? 60 mil on this side, 65 mil on this side. Those are the two multiples on either side of 61.5. Now, where is the halfway point? If I drop that knife, it's going to split it in half. That knife is going to drop on 62.5. Okay, so anything that's on 62.5 or above will go up, and anything that's less than 62.5 will go down. Because 61 mil, 61.5 mil is less than 62.5, will go down. Okay, so 60 mil is the correct answer for B. The same thing applies to C. The same thing applies to D. With D, you have 617.51. Again, either way, we have 615 and 620 on either sides of 617.51. We have 615 and 620. Where is the halfway point? The halfway point is actually on 617.5, which this number is sitting on. Exactly. So we have to go up in this case because 617.5 is the halfway point between 615 and 620. So we go up. So if it's on the halfway point or more than the halfway point, you go up. Any questions so far? Any questions? I'm impressed with the vast majority of the answers I've seen. Some people obviously got one or two wrong, but like I said, it's a journey. I'm here to correct you and guide you, push you in the right direction. So if you got all of them right, well done to yourself. If you didn't, just keep learning and applying the skills and knowledge. The next one we're going to look at, is 0.05. 0.05. So this one, you need to do all of them. You need to do the entire thing, do all of them according to what I've just told you. So A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. Actually, I'll do the first one for you, which is A. So A is 0.34337 to the nearest 0.05. I'll do the first one for you, and I'll let you do B, C, and D. I'm trying to round to 0.05. When I look at my number, that's 0.05. The 5 in 0.05 will be sitting on 4 in my number. Can you see what I'm talking about? So you have 0.34377. Also, actually 0.34337. That is the number that I have. Now, if I wanted to do this question very easy, I need to find out where this 5 is sitting on. All right. So if we just highlight it to make things easy for everyone to see what I'm talking about, that 5 is also sitting here in my example. Okay. So where that 5 that I've highlighted is where 4 is in my number. And that's where I need to watch. So how can I get that to 5? I can get that to 5 by looking at what's behind it. I can get that to 5 by looking at what's behind it. Number one. Also, is it halfway between either side of the multiples? Okay, so other side of the multiples, we have 0, we have 5. Is that number halfway or more between 0 and 5? If it's halfway or more, I'll go up. But if it's less than halfway, I'll go down. Does that make sense? So this one, the answer is going to be 0.35. 0.35 is going to be the answer. So I've looked at what's behind it. What's behind it is 3, but also look at the number itself. Most importantly, is that number halfway or more between 0 and 5? If it's halfway or more, I'll go up. If it's less than halfway, I'll go down. So the answer to the first one is 0.35 grams. That's the answer to A. So you need to do the rest. You need to do B, C, and D. So write on your paper your answers for B, C, and D, and then transfer it to the comment section. Write it on your paper, look through it, make sure you've double checked it, and then transfer it. B, C, and D. Okay, if you're watching me, please write your answers. Pop your answer in the comment section. I have quite a few people, so I don't know why I'm only getting about 5 people answering. I need more answers. If you're watching, get involved. Write your answers in the comment section. Even if you're not sure, you make your mistakes, but you get better. So I'm encouraging you to get involved and write your answers in the comment section. So B, C, and D. Put your answer down for B, C, and D. B, C, and D. Put down your answers in the comment section if you've got one. Okay, let's look at the answers. The answers for all of them are 0.35 grams for A, 0.65 for B, 0.50 for C, and 0.10 for D. These are the correct answers. These are the correct answers, literally following the steps that we talked about initially. Following the steps we talked about initially, you look at the number that 5 represents in your answer. So the first example we looked at, we said that 5 in 0.05 grams is 4 in our actual number, and that's what we need to put our focus on. In the next one, you have 0.671. The 5 in 0.05 grams is basically sitting where 7 is sitting in our number, and that's what we need to have a look at. Now that 7 or 7.1, look at what's behind it as well. It's not halfway between 5 and 10, is it? It's not halfway, because halfway will be 7.5 or 7.5. Because it's not up to halfway, you go down. That's why we went to 0.65. for option for B. Then for C, we have 0.475. That one is easy. You have 0.475. 7 is where the 0.05, that 5 in 0.05 mg is being occupied by 7. So we look at what's behind it. If you look at what's behind it, you've got 5, which means you have to go up. When you go up, you then have 0, so 10 essentially, which goes on to the next one to make it 50. So you have 0.50. The last one is 0.10. The correct answer is 0.10. Now, someone just asked me, is the 0 important after 1? Yes. Yes. If they ask you to round to the nearest 0.05, already is in 2 decimals. Okay? Already is in 2 decimals in this case. So you can't put your answer down as 0.1 because it's in 2 decimals. Or sometimes they will say leave your answer as 2 decimal place. Don't put 0.1 as your answer if they've asked you for 2 decimal places. Does that make sense? Because the 0 after it will make it a 2 decimal place or 2 decimal places. Does that make sense? 0.1 is to 1 decimal place. 0.10 is 2 decimal places. So depending on the question, that 0 may be important. So in this particular example, it is important. And if you said leave your answer as 2dp, it will also be important that you leave the 0 at the back. That's why I said it depends on the question. Okay, let's do a couple more and then we'll try to apply this to some questions. The dilution questions we'll be looking at later on. You would also need to apply rounding to those questions as well. So we're going to use our skills from here when we're doing that dilutions. All right. So this one, you have to do all of them: A, B, C, and D. So do all 4 of them and tell us your answers in the comment section. Do A, write your answer for A. Do B, put down your answer for B. C, answer for C. D, answer for D, in one line, one straight line, and write in the comment section. Okay, so let's have the answers. Let's have the answers to the questions. It's not that deep, guys. It's not that deep. You have 4 questions. Well, not really questions, just numbers that you need to do the rounding. This exam is all about timing. And so you should be able to do this fairly quickly, seconds, literally. Look at it, put the answer down. Look at it, put the answer down. Look at it, put the answer down. That's where I'm trying to get you to get to, of course. But I understand people are still trying to get their skills together. But yes, if you have an answer, please put down your answer for us so we can go ahead with the rest of today's session. Okay, so let's see. What are the correct answers? The correct answers are these. So these are the correct answers. These are the correct answers. The first one says round to 3 decimal places. Round to 3 decimal places. When we look at that number, you have that the third decimal place is where 1 is sitting. Yes, so see where it says 7.421. Where 1 is sitting is the third decimal place. Look behind it. When you look behind it, is that number up to 5? If the number is up to 5, you can round up. So that one will become 2 if that number was up to 5. But if the number isn't up to 5, that's behind 1 in our example, then the number actually stays as it is. The number stays as it is, so it will stay as 7.421. Now, the mistake that some people make is see the 5 behind the 4 in the long number 7.42145. That last 5, some people will run that to the next 4 and then make it 5 and then round. You don't do that, please. Don't do that. That is not the correct way to do it. What you need to do is just look at the one behind it. Look at the one behind it. The one behind it is not up to 5, then you won't be able to round up. Just leave it as it is. Okay, so 7.421 is the correct answer. The next one is round 5,702 pounds to the nearest 10 pound. 5,702 to the nearest 10 pounds. So the nearest 10 pound is 5700. 5700, because that 2 is not up to 5, is it? If it was up to 5, then you round up to 10. But because it's not up to the halfway point, then you leave it as 5700 to the nearest 10 pounds. The third one, to 1 decimal place, very easy. 0.081, 0.0845 to 1 decimal place is 0.1, because all you're doing is looking at where the 1 is going to be sitting in your number. That one will be sitting at the 0 just after the decimal point. What's behind it is 5 or more. So 8 is more than 5. You round up and it becomes 0.1 grams. The last one wants you to round to 0.005 grams. 0.005 grams in this particular example is 0.72, is 6.720. So 6.720 is the nearest 0.005 grams. Okay, once again, a few people have managed to get the correct answer, which I'm very happy to see. A few people have managed to get the correct answer. Some people struggled with 1 or 2 of them. So if you're someone who struggled, come back to this session and watch it again and try to apply the knowledge and the skills that we've discussed today to your calculations. So your past papers or workbooks or whatever it is that you're using. Rounding is very important. Okay, let's try a question. Let's try a question. So this question is a typical GPHC exam question. And when you get your answer, which you should within 3 minutes, round your answer to 1 DP. Round your answer to 1 DP. Okay, let's have the answers. Guys, if you have an answer for me, write your answer in the comment section. I can see an answer from Samiat Toby, the first person to put on her answer. Well done, Samiat. Mira, I've seen an answer from Jiga T, one from Raha, Jabran, and Nicole. What about everyone else? Guys, if you're watching me, get involved. Get involved and write your answer. I've got way more than 6 people watching tonight. So why do I only have 6 answers? Yes, don't hesitate to put down your answer. Doesn't matter if you get it wrong. It's part of the process. It's best for you to make your mistakes now than to carry your mistakes into the exam in June. So write your answers in the comment section if you have an answer for me. I'll wait for a few more answers before we go to the actual solution. Okay, so the correct answer to this question is 2.7 mil per hour. The correct answer is 2.7 mil per hour. Now, the question says leave your answer as one decimal or to one decimal place where you have 2.74. That 4 behind 7 is not up to 5. It's not up to 5. So because it's not up to 5, we'll put down 2.7 as our answer. If 2 points, if it was up to 5, the answer would have been 2.8. But because it's not up to 5, the answer is 2.7. Does that make sense? So when you do your calculation questions like this, always make sure you double check you've done your rounding properly, because sometimes people get all the steps right, but when it comes to the last part of the question, which is doing your rounding properly, they forget to do it, or they do it wrongly. So please double check that you've done your rounding properly. I have one more example on this before we shift gears to dilutions. This one is another example of dose and dosage regimen I talked about earlier. I want you to spend 3 minutes, just 3 minutes. Try 3 minutes to do this question and see what answer you get. 3 minutes and tell us what answer you get. Okay, so let's have the answers. If you have an answer, write your answer in the comment section. This question is on dose and dosage regimen. I remember what I said to you when we started today's session. I said there are cases where you need to do your rounding during the calculation question itself, and there are cases where you have to do your rounding at the end of your calculation. This is an example of where you need to do your rounding during the calculation because we're giving the patient doses of paracetamol. And the question does tell you that the syringe you're going to give, or the parent is going to give the child the drug with, is calibrated to 0.1 mil intervals. So what that means is all you can measure out is to the closest 0.1 mil. So when you have 6.875 mil to give, you need to make sure you round it to the nearest 0.1 mil before you start administering the medication, because your syringe is only calibrated at 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, etc., etc. So you are not able to give 6.1875 mil. It's just not practically possible because your syringe is calibrated or marked at 0.1 mil interval. So all you see is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. So the question you need to ask yourself is, what is the nearest 0.1 mil to 6.1875? The nearest 0.1 mil is 6.2. The nearest one is 6.2. So we can measure out 6.2 mil and give it to that child in the morning, give 6.2 in the afternoon, give 6.2 in the evening, give 6.2 at night. Okay, so we're giving 6.2 4 times a day. Then you times it by 3 days. Does that make sense? So 6.2 times 4 times 3 is equal to 74.4. This is how you do it. You don't do 6.1875 times 4 times 3 days. No, you need to round it to the nearest 0.1 because the syringe, from the question, the syringe is marked at 0.1 mil increment. Also, with this type of questions as well, sometimes they can try to trick you with where it says, give this drug or give this dose 4 times a day, or sometimes they will say give this dose in 4 equally divided doses. Those are two separate things. Those are two different things. If it says give a dose 4 times a day, it means that I'm taking, I don't know, 10 milligrams of domperidone. I'm just making this up. 10 milligrams of domperidone 4 times a day means 10 milligrams in the morning, 10 in the afternoon, 10 in the evening, 10 at night. But if I'm taking 10 milligrams of domperidone in 4 equally divided doses, it means 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. Does that make sense? So that is another way they can phrase the question. So just be careful in case it says this dose in 4 equally divided doses, or take this dose 4 times a day. Someone just asked me about 24 milligram. You don't have to do that, but all I did was I said if there's 120 milligram in 5 mil, there'll be 24 milligram in 1 mil, which means 2.4 milligram in 0.1 mil. You don't have to do it that way, but that's how I did it to quickly get my answer. Okay, so this is how you do rounding when you have to do it during the actual calculation. Let's shift gears to dilutions. Dilutions is good. Yes. Shivani is asking. Shivani says, so do you round each dose to the nearest 0.1 mil? Good, and go from there. Fantastic. Yes. So if it says it was 0.5 mil intervals that your syringe is calibrated to, then round each dose to the nearest 0.5 mil. If it's 0.2 mil, round it to the nearest 0.2 mil. In this example, it's 0.1 mil interval. So round each dose to the nearest 0.1 mil and then times by 4 before it times by 3 days. Does that make sense? Don't do the rounding at the end because you have to give the patient the correct amount using a syringe. Okay, so that is the difference here. Right, let's go to dilutions. The dilutions I want to look at is serial dilutions. I do have good news and bad news about dilutions. Guys, if you know you love dilutions, type love in the comment section. If you love dilutions, type love in the comment section. If you hate dilutions, type hate in the comment section. Let's see. Let's take a quick poll. If you like dilutions or you love dilutions, just type love, L-O-V-E, in the comment section. If you hate dilutions, type hate in the comment section. Let's take a quick poll to see how people feel about dilutions in general. Yeah, tell us how you feel about dilutions in general. When you see the word dilutions, does it make you happy? Does it make you smile? Or does it piss you off? Does it make you angry? Type love if you love dilutions. Type hate if you hate dilutions. Type love if you love dilutions, and type hate if you see dilutions and it just makes you angry. It just makes your face, it just makes you frown your face, just pisses you off. Type hate. If you love dilutions and it makes you happy and you just can't wait to rip dilutions apart, type love. Let's see how people actually feel. Let's see how people actually feel. All right. Type love or hate depending on how you feel. Type love or hate depending on how you feel. Let's see. All right. So the first person says hate. First person says hate. Second person hate. Third person hate. Zainab hate. Another person hate, 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 hate. Another person cross-eyed. Really? Cross-eyed. Not a single person wrote love or even like. If you said like, I'm like, okay, fair enough, but not like, not love. Most people hate, 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 hate. Everywhere you look, people just hate dilutions. All right, so I've got two quick news for you. The first news is bad news. The second news is good news. Let's get the first news out of the way first. So the bad news is there's still dilutions in the exam. Dilutions is still part of the exam, and in the exam, you're going to be expected to do one of three types of, no, actually not one of, all three types of dilution. So you have simple dilutions, mixed dilutions, and serial dilutions. And you should learn how to do each of them because all marks are important. Don't say, well, I'm not going to bother with this because if I lose 2 marks or 3 marks, it doesn't really matter. It matters because some people are sitting the exam again because of 1 mark or 2 marks. So if you're somebody who's preparing to sit, you need to make the necessary effort to gain some of the skills required to tackle dilution questions. So the bad news is, unfortunately, there's still dilution questions in the exam, even though they've removed other types of questions like allegations, displacement values involving suppositories. Displacement volumes is still there, but displacement values, I think they've removed, and concentrated waters, chloroform waters, things like that, they've removed them. But dilutions is still part of the exam. The good news is they've reduced the number of dilution questions in the GPHC exam as of the last. So we've seen since 2021, where they had 6 exams in 2021 and 2 exams last year. So that's 8 exams. In all 8 exams, each paper apparently, as the story goes, only had 3 dilution questions each. Only 3 dilution questions. So they've reduced it. When I start my exam, there used to be loads of dilution questions, like 8, 9, 10. Everywhere you look, dilutions. Everywhere it's like toast coming out of a toaster. It just keeps popping up. Dilutions, dilutions, dilutions. But now there's only 3 dilution questions in the exam, which is fantastic. So if you're someone who can't stand dilution, that's a good thing because you don't have to deal with loads of dilution questions, but you still need to try and get those marks. Every mark is important. I want you to fight for every single mark in the exam. Is important. Okay, don't say, I'm not going to worry about this because 2 marks or 3 marks won't make me feel well. You never know. Okay, so only 3 dilution questions, and we have 3 types of dilutions in the exam as well, which is simple dilutions, mixed dilutions, when you have 2 concentrations mixed, which means you have a new volume and you have a new concentration. That, and what we're looking at today, which is serial dilution. Serial dilution is the most challenging for some people out of all of them. And that's what I'm going to be looking at today. Simple dilution is easy. That's C1V1, C2V2, straightforward. Serial dilution involves 2 to 3 or 4 steps. Okay, so Let's see how we can tackle dilution questions. What I'll do, I will explain how to do this for you very easily. I used to be a student that struggled with dilution questions initially until it was explained to me. I had a really good tutor when I did my pre-reg exam, it was years ago, and it just changed everything for me. Up to today, I laugh whenever I see dilutions because I can easily do dilutions using a simple formula, which is C1V1, C2, V2. Any dilutions you give me, I can do it with C1V1, C2, V2. Any, because all you need to do is put the numbers into the equation. So if you're watching me right now, write C1V1, C2, V2 on your bit of paper. Grab your paper, write down C1V1, C2, V2 on your bit of paper. That's the first step. Anytime you see it, just write down C1V1, C2, V2. I'm going to share some quick hints. Okay, C1V1, C2, V2. Second thing I need you to write is write intermediate concentration. Intermediate concentration is equal to final concentration times dilution factor. Just write it. I'll explain what that means. Intermediate concentration, or some people call it initial concentration. Intermediate concentration, initial concentration is equal to final concentration times dilution factor. Final concentration times dilution factor. That's the second point. The third point, if you're looking for final concentration is equal to intermediate or initial concentration divided by dilution factor. Okay, so it's three things you need to have on your bit of paper so far. First one is this formula, C1V1, C2V2, which everyone knows. You just need to know how to use it properly for serial dilution. Number two, intermediate concentration is equal to final concentration times dilution factor. Then the final concentration is equal to intermediate divided. Final concentration is intermediate divided by dilution factor. Okay, then the third thing or fourth thing, shall I say, you will need to know is dilution factor. What does dilution factor actually mean? What does dilution factor actually mean, and how to spot a dilution factor in a question? So normally, if we have 25 ml of a solution and I want to do a 1:4 dilution, it means I'll add 4 parts to that 25 ml to get a 1:4 dilution. For example, say I have 25 ml of solution in this glass here and I want to do a 1:4 dilution. What I'll do is get 4 lots of 25 ml, right? So I'll get 4 lots of 25 ml. So 25 ml, 25 ml, 25 ml, 25 ml, and add it all into here, and it becomes a 1:4 dilution. Does that make sense? There's a difference between 1:4 and 1:4. 1:4 is different to 1:4. 1:4 means I have 1 part, I'll add 3 parts to it, and it becomes 4 parts in total. 1:4 is 5 parts in total. Yes? I said that again. 1:4 means you have 4 parts in total. So I have 25 ml here, and I'll add 25, 25, 25, and I'll bring it to 4 parts in total. So we'll have 100 ml in the end. Whereas 1:4 is you have 25 ml, but you add 4 parts of 25. So 25, 25, 25, 25, which will make it 5 parts in total. So from this question, it says ranitidine solution, or the intermediate solution, was diluted such that when that solution is diluted 1:4, a 1:1000 solution is produced. Can anyone tell me what the dilution factor is? What is the dilution factor in this question? Just by looking at the question, what do you think the dilution factor is? What is the dilution factor in this question? What is the dilution factor in this question? Can anyone tell me? Because we need to be able to identify that just before we start. Tell me, just write the number in the comment section. What is the dilution factor? What is the dilution factor? Tell me in the comment section. Fantastic. 4. 4 is the dilution factor. 4 is the dilution factor. So when it says 1:4, 4 is the dilution factor. If it says 1:5, 5 is the dilution factor. 1:10, 10 is the dilution factor. 1:2, 2 is the dilution factor. 1 in 20, 20 is the dilution factor. So 4 is the dilution factor in this case. That 1 in 1,000 is the concentration of the final solution. They've written it as grams per thousand, which you can obviously change to percentage, blah, blah, blah. So let's use this formula C1V1, C2V2 to quickly do this question. You can do this question in 1 minute if you understand C1V1 and how to apply it here. So you've written C1V1, C2V2 in on your paper. Next thing you need to do is to name each side. The way you name each side is to read the last line of the question. The question says, what is the volume of the intermediate solution that will be used to make the final? What is the volume of the intermediate that will be used to make the final? So I have intermediate that will be used to make the final. It doesn't say anything about stock. It doesn't say anything about stock solution. So I'm not concerned with the stock solution in this case, which is where some people get confused because they start getting the stock involved. It doesn't say anything about the stock. So just read the last line. The key is always on the last line. When it comes to dilution, the vast majority of times, the key information is always the last line. What volume of this do you need to make this? Sometimes you can say, what volume of stock do you need to make intermediate? What volume of stock do you need to make final? What volume of stock do you need to make this? What volume of intermediate do you need to make final? So look at the two things that it's asking you about and focus on those two. Okay, so we'll call our C1V1 side intermediate side, and we'll call our C2V2 side the final side. C1V1 side, we'll call that the intermediate side, and C2V2 will call that the final concentration side or final solution side. Okay, so we have two sides, intermediate and final, because the last line says, what volume of intermediate do I need to make final? Okay, now let's put the numbers in. Let's start from the easy side, which is the C2V2 side. What is the final volume of our final product? What is the final volume or the volume of our final product? Put it that way. What is the volume of our final product, which is V2? Somebody tell me, what is V2, which is the volume of our final product? What is V2? So you get the answers, you just pop them into the equation straight away. What is V2? We're looking for V2. What is V2, which is the volume of the final solution? The volume of the final solution is V2. What is V2? Fantastic. So V2 is 5,000. V2 is 5,000. V2 is 5,000. So far, we have our V2 side sorted. Okay, so your equation should look like this now because we've identified what V2 is. V2 is 5,000. The next one we need to put down is C2. What is the concentration of the final solution? What is the concentration of the final solution? C2. Can anyone tell me what is the concentration of the final solution? What is the concentration of the final solution? In percentage weight per volume, of course. In percentage weight per volume. C1V1, the concentration has to be in percentage weight per volume. So tell us in the comment section what you think the concentration of the final solution is. What is the concentration of the final solution? What is the concentration? What is the concentration of the final solution? In percentage weight per volume. Percentage concentration when you're using C1V1 has to be in percentage. All right, percentage means in 100. Now, when it comes to the question, it tells us that 1 in 1,000 solution is produced. So 1 in 1,000 is the concentration, but that is grams in 1,000. If there's 1 gram in 1,000, how much is there in 100? If there's 1 gram in 1,000, how much is there in 100? Because we're looking for percentage. 1 gram is in 1,000. X is in 100. What's X? What is X? If there's 1 gram in 1,000, there will be X in 100. Okay, so the answer is 0.1. So 0.1 is our C2. Our C2 is 0.1. Why? Because the final concentration is 1 gram in 1,000. If there's 1 gram in 1,000, in 100, it will be 0.1 grams. 0.1% weight per volume is our C2. Let's go over to the other side. The other side is the intermediate side. We're looking for the volume of the intermediate. We're looking for the volume of the intermediate, which is V1, All right, V1 is what we're looking for. So I'm going to leave it as V1. I can call it X. You can leave it as V1 or you can call it X. So what I need you to do now is find out C1. What is the intermediate concentration? What is the intermediate concentration? What is the concentration of the intermediate? If you look on your bill of paper, I told you the formula at the beginning of dilutions. I said there's a formula for intermediate concentrations. So what is intermediate concentration from what you've written down? C1 is 0.4%. C1 is 0.4%. Remember that intermediate concentration is equal to final concentration times dilution factor. Intermediate is equal to final concentration times dilution factor. So the final concentration was 0.1. The dilution factor is 4. So 0.1 times 4 is our intermediate concentration. So the answer is 0.4. Okay, so what you have will look like this. 0.4 times V1, which is what you're looking for, is equal to 0.1 times 5,000. So you need to find V1. Okay, so I've literally done this question for you. You have 0.4 times V1 is equal to 0.1 times 5,000. There are so many ways to do dilution questions, and I would say use the one that you find the most comfortable. I obviously believe that C1V1 is really easy to use, and I can do a lot of questions in less than a minute, which will save you a lot of time in the exam. But some people use the Beaker method and other methods out there that you can also use. So use whichever one that you feel more comfortable with, the one that will give you your answer fairly quickly. All right. So this is what you need to do. Find the answer for V1, and that should be 1.25 liters. 1.25 liters is the correct answer to question 1. Okay, the next question is asking you for the concentration of the intermediate solution. This one you can literally do in 30 seconds. Have a look. Guys, have a look at this question and tell us, what do you think the concentration of the intermediate solution is? What is the concentration for intermediate? You literally can do this in 30 seconds because there's the formula for intermediate concentration, which is final concentration times dilution factor. So try and see if you can get the correct answer to this question. Yes, this one is very easy. The answer is 8%. Correct answer is 8%. 8% is the correct answer simply by using the formula I gave you. Intermediate concentration is equal to final concentration times dilution factor. The final concentration is 2% because 1 in 50 means there will be 2 in 100. So 2% is the final concentration. The dilution factor is 4. The question says was divided or diluted 1 in 4. So 4 is the dilution factor. So 2 times 4 is 8%. Let's try this one. I'll give you a chance to try this one. This one's come up in previous GPHC exams and it could come up again. So try this question. I'll give you 3 minutes. Try this question and see if you can put down the correct answer in the comment section. Okay, so the correct answer, this question, like I said, has been in the exam before. So it's important that you learn how to do this question. The question is asking you to do serial dilutions, which is you take 5 ml from the stock solution, dilute it to 50 ml with water, take 10 ml from this new 50 ml, and dilute that 10 ml to 100 ml and tell us what the final concentration will be. The key thing to remember is when you take the initial 5 ml from your stock, the concentration doesn't change at that point. So you shouldn't start looking for the amount of drug in 5 ml. The concentration is still 0.2%. Yes, the concentration of the 5 ml is still 0.2%. If I have a stock solution here, and this stock solution is 0.2%, if I pour some into another container, that one I've poured into the container is still 0.2%. Concentration in percentage weight per volume means how much grams would it be if the volume was 100 ml? If the volume were to be 100 ml, how much grams would we have in 100 ml? That's all it means. So concentration of the stock solution is still the same as the 5 ml you've poured out. The concentration hasn't changed. The amount in the drug may change because you have a smaller volume, but the concentration hasn't really changed. So that 5 ml still has the same concentration as 0.2. We dilute that to 50. And what happens? The concentration changes because you've now gone from 5 ml to 50 ml with water. So you've added water, about 45 ml of water to get it to 50 ml. The dilution factor between 5 ml and 50 ml is what? Is 10. 10 is the dilution factor between 5 ml and 50 ml. So you divide your initial concentration by 10, and that will give you the new concentration. Okay, so the new concentration will be 10 divided by, so 0.2 divided by 10, which will give you 0.02. The story doesn't end there because they want you to do the same thing again. So take 10 ml from this 15 ml, dilute it with water to 100 ml, and once again, the dilution factor is 10. So you divide your new concentration by 10, and it will give you 0.002. Okay, so 0.002 is the correct answer. Do this question again. Do this question. It's been in the exam a few times. If you're someone who got it wrong or you don't know how to do it, please do this question again. The answer is on the slide. The explanation is on the slide at the moment. So 0.2 grams in 100 ml. That 5 ml also has a concentration of 0.2. It also has a concentration of 0.2. That's what that means. So 0.2% weight per volume is the concentration of 5 ml. So the concentration is still the same for the 5 ml solution. Okay, good. Someone's asking, why is the dilution factor 10? The first time we went from 5 ml to 50 ml, 5 ml to 50 ml. From 5 ml to 50 ml, anybody, what is the dilution factor from 5 ml to 50 ml? So the way you calculate the dilution factor is divide the big one by the small one. Yes, divide the big one by the small one, and the dilution factor is the answer it gives you. So the big one is 50, small one is 5 ml. So from 5 to 10, the dilution factor is 10. Okay, so 10 is the dilution factor from 5 ml to 50 ml. What about from 10 ml to 100 ml? From 10 ml to 100 ml, from 10 ml to 100 ml, what is the dilution factor? What is the dilution factor? Divide the big one by the small one, and the dilution factor is also 10 in this case. I'll give you an example. Let's go from 5 ml to 20 ml. I'll let you answer. No, I'll let you answer 5 ml to 20 ml. Do this one. Do this one from 5 ml to 20 ml. 5 ml to 20 ml. What is the dilution factor? I'll let Norma answer. Norma asked us a question earlier about dilution factors. 5 ml to 20 ml. What is the answer? From 5 ml to 20 ml. What is the dilution factor? Four. Fantastic. 4. 4 is the dilution factor. What about if we went from 3 mil to 9 mil of potassium chloride solution. What is the dilution factor? So I've got 3 mil to 9 mil. I'll let Norma answer as well. Norma, answer this one. 3 mil to 9 mil. 3 mil to 9 mil. What is the dilution factor? I'll let Norma answer this one. Good. Fantastic. 3 is the dilution factor. Yes? So that's all you do, literally. Look for the big one, divide it by the small one. It gives you the dilution factor. Fantastic. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to this question here. Let's move on to this question here. Let's see. Let's see if you can do this one. Try this question. Let's see if you can do this particular question. Okay, guys, if you have an answer for question 4, write your answers, please. Write your answer for question 4. Okay, let's quickly look at the answer to this question. A lot of people have managed to put an answer down, but it's important to know the steps. It's important to know how we arrive at the answer. This is literally the last question for today. The first thing we need to look at is how much they want us to make is the last thing you should consider. But the first thing you need to look at is the final concentration so that you can work backwards. Yes, the final concentration is a 1 in 500 solution. 1 in 500 solution is the final concentration. So if you want to change 1 in 500 solution to concentration in percentage weight per volume, you will say 1 in 500 x in 100. X in 100 would be 0.2. Are you following? Yes, because you're trying to work backwards to find out what was in the initial solution that they want us to make 1,000 mil of an initial solution. So we have 1 in 500, which means 0.2 in 100. The dilution factor is from 5 to a liter. The dilution factor is from 5 to a liter. What is the dilution factor from 5 to a liter? 5 to 1 liter. Divide 1 liter, which is 1,000 mil, by 5 mil. And that will give you the dilution factor. When you get that, you can multiply your final concentration by the dilution factor to give you the initial concentration. So from 5 mil to 1,000 mil, what would the dilution factor be? It would be 200. Dilution factor would be 200. So as you can see, I've multiplied my dilution factor by my final concentration to give me the initial concentration. The initial concentration is 40% weight per volume. 40% means there's 40 grams of the drug in 100 mil of the solution. If there's 40 grams in 100 mil, how much is there going to be in the 200 mil of the solution that the question is asking us about? It says you need to make a 200 mil solution. How much 500 milligram tablets you need to make that? So if there's 40 grams in 100 mil, there'll be 80 grams in that 200 mil solution. The last question is, how many tablets do you need to get 80 grams? So we have 500 milligram tablets available, 500 milligram tablets available, and we're trying to get 80 grams, beg your pardon, 80 grams is what we're trying to get. So how many 500 milligram tablets do we need to put together to make 80 grams? How many 500 milligram tablets? How many 500 milligram tablets do we need to put together to make 80 grams? That's what this question is really asking us. Okay, so we found out that 80 grams is the amount in 200 ml. How many 500 milligram tablets do we need to make 80 grams? By the way, guys, if you've learned anything from this session, if you've liked the session, please smash the like button. Guys, smash the like button. Give us a like if you've enjoyed this session, if you've learned something new. Obviously, with dilutions, you may need to come back and have a look at it. So I'm going to leave this video available for you to come back to whenever you want to up onto your exam, so you can practice dilutions and try to apply the skills you've learned today. So give us a like, smash the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, so that whenever I post important videos for your exam, you'll be notified. Smash the like button and subscribe as well. I had a number of people message me privately asking me for help with tutorials and things like that. I normally get booked up quite quickly, but I do have some availability at the moment. So I'm running some private tutorials, and if anyone is interested, I've only just created some availability for this recently because obviously my schedule changed, and I'll be doing some from May to June. So please have a look if you're someone who's interested. And there's also like last minute calculations as well, which is now available, is on our website. For the private ones, there's only 4 people per class. So I'll have more time to focus on each person. And this is going to be online as well. This is going to be online. So you don't have to be there face to face. It's going to be on Zoom, online. And there's only going to be 4 people per session. Okay, so if you're interested in the private tutorials or the last minute tutorials, the details are on our website. Other than that, please give us a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining today. I hope you've learned something from today's session. I do appreciate you participating. Any other questions or queries, feel free to send me a message on Instagram, or send me an email, or message me on WhatsApp if you have my number. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Your effort is going to pay off. Just keep working, keep putting in the effort. Well done to everyone who participated today. Samiat was very active. Well done, Samiat. Shivani. I have Podonu, very, very active today. Gabo, very active. Well done, guys. Well done for being active, and just stay active until you sit the exam. God willing, you'll be able to smash the exam to pieces come 27th of June. Okay, I'll end the session now, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.